Today, we are going to be talking about how housing can be a sore subject here in Cornwall with the current housing crisis which is hitting the county. Now, of course, there are those in the county that are still on the waiting list for social housing and those that are moving into a new tenancy for the first time. Now, there are projects available offering support and advice. And with me now is Communications Officer at Citizens Advice in Cornwall. We've got Wailim Wong to tell us more. Hello.
Hello, hi.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us on.
Lovely to have you on the show. Now, I've just briefly mentioned there you are the Communications Officer for Citizens Advice Cornwall. Can you tell us a little bit about your role within the organisation?
Yeah, that's right. So it's communications in the wider sense, really, the usual press officer role, working with the media and partner organisations like yourself at Chaos and other and Cornwall Council, but also making sure that everyone within the organisation knows what we're doing, which is quite a task as we're spread out all over Cornwall. So yeah, communications, getting the messages out there, really.
Amazing. Now, I understand you guys run several different community projects. Could you tell us about some of them and what their aims are?
Yeah, we sort of decided really that we're seeing a lot of the same issues over and over again, and we have done for some time. Issues about debt in particular, mental health benefits. In fact, a lot of these things are joined up. You know, you have one issue and that actually feeds into something else. So we're now trying to get more into the community and trying to tackle some of those root causes of the problems. So, yeah, we're trying to sort of stop problems developing before they become unmanageable. So yeah, we've got various projects underway. One of our more recent ones, we've got projects that look at energy advice, for example. We've got projects that look into people's pension options. We've got specific projects looking at mental health and the financial side of people's mental health. So you can get the finances and benefits sorted out, they can concentrate on getting better again. Usually working with partners. And then a new one that we're launching is called Building Futures. And the aim of that project is to keep people in their homes. So building up, so people understand what their rights and responsibilities are as a tenant and really have a successful tenancy.
Brilliant. And when did this sort of project start, or where did the idea sort of come from?
Well, it's a scheme that's backed by the European Social Fund and Cornwall Council, and our role in it in Citizens Advice is actually delivering the project, actually doing the work. So the idea is to it's part of a bigger picture, really, is to try, and particularly for the younger and more vulnerable members of our community, to try and make sure that they've got a roof over their heads.
Yeah.
And try and build on things, so that try and find out what might be holding them back in terms of getting a job. So we'll take a look at their finances. We'll look at their debts. Are there things that we can work on there? Try and give them the skills, really, to budget, because some of these things you aren't taught at school. Really, when I left school, I had no idea what a mortgage was, or how to apply for a credit card, or any of that sort of stuff. So a bit of sort of budgeting and financial education, how to manage a budget, and also looking at the importance of paying your rent on time, what you need to do as a tenant, as a new tenant, because not everyone knows. It's quite new to a lot of people. And also what your landlord's responsibilities are as well, what they need to do as well. You know, if shower's broken, who's responsible for it? You know, or the window falls out, or whatever. Some of the things you might be responsible for, some things the landlord might be responsible for. So it's that, really. And once you have a secure home, that's half the battle, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Then we work on your finances, and then we work out the best ways of getting you a job. So we might work with building up your CV writing skills, for example, your interview skills. So it's trying to look at the whole picture. The scheme is open to anyone, to unemployed people over the age of 16. So we're trying to, as the title it says, Building Futures is the name of the project, and it's trying to get people at an early age, trying to set people on a secure future and on the right track, really. And hopefully that way people will avoid the issues of losing their home because they aren't paying their rent on time, or they haven't got enough money because they're always chasing their tail paying off debts.
True.
Easy to say, I know, in the current environment, but there are things that can be done.
Yeah, and like you said, it does just sound like it's a whole sort of round package. It's not just a quick fix. It's seeing and supporting people all the way through. What would you say are like the main or the most common obstacles people face when taking out like a new tenancy? Is it the financial side that you mentioned, or?
Yeah, I mean it's the financial side, and it's also knowledge of knowing what to do. If you have problems with your house, and we get a lot of people coming to us, not just in the private sector, but on social housing as well. Yeah, the boiler's broken down, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or, I've had the landlord's trying to get me out, I don't know what to do. Usually there are two sides to the story. So yes, it is just that knowledge of what should I be doing and what should my landlord be doing.
Yeah.
It is financial as well. So yes, not being able to pay the rent is a very difficult one, and we've all heard stories of people who have sadly been, particularly more on the private sector, of course, who've been given their notice because the landlord wants to sell up, or they just can't afford to keep paying the rent. So we might look at ways of increasing your income, and there are ways of doing that. So we'd look at your budget. Are there things that you could be cutting back on?
Right.
Are there ways of spending your money a bit more wisely? Shopping a bit more cleverly, really.
A few less takeaways, maybe.
It is, yeah. It's sometimes, yeah, and it's also maybe doing a meal planner, for example, for the week ahead. So you know how much you're going to be spending on food. You know how much you're going to be spending on energy. Big issue, I know, but having these things planned out. How much, if you've got a car, how much am I going to have to put back for fuel? And it's things like that. And also we have specialist debt advisors, so we can look at if you've got debts, what are your priority debts?
Right.
What do you need to pay back? What can you actually hold back on for the moment? Can you talk to, say if you've got a store card, can you talk to the store and negotiate with them and say, look, I'm in difficulties here, and we can help you do that, because the store cards, the companies would much rather get something at the end of the day, even if it's a lower amount, than nothing at all.
It's very true. And
they will negotiate. They will help. There is room, but there are debts that you really do have to pay, like your council tax, because there are legal obligations there. So you don't want to end up eventually going to prison. So again, these things can be sorted. So it's looking at your debts, looking at your budget, trying to get people to plan ahead.
Fantastic. So it sounds like you do provide some sort of real support. Does that involve a bit of training as well? Do you offer sort of training along the way? Yeah,
so what we do in Building Futures is encourage people to come along to one of our sessions where we will actually run through a lot of these things. We'll look at, as we say, we'll look at budgeting, we'll look at your rights and responsibilities, and it's a one-off session, but there are options to continue, and we can also refer people into other parts of our service, because there's a whole load of experts in Citizens Advice, and it's all free. Yeah. So, and it's open to everyone. So, for example, if someone is having particular difficulties in debt, we might send them to a debt advisor. If someone's having particular issues with benefits, it may be that they're not getting the benefits they're entitled to. They can speak to one of our benefits advisors who will, maybe go into battle for them or point them off in the right direction. They may not be claiming what they should be claiming.
Right.
So there are ways around. There are also various grants available for things like energy and to help with shopping bills, depending on your personal circumstances. And there are various industries, like the energy industry, do have schemes depending again on your circumstances. So we can look into ways of basically maximising your income. So you do have the session, and then if you need extra support, you can tap into all that extra help. But as a result of the sessions, which I say they're not heavy, don't worry, it's not like going to school or college. There's no exams and no sort of difficult trick questions. It's just to sort of really get you thinking on the right lines and sort of opening that conversation with you, really.
Okay. Are they online or are they in-person sessions?
In person, they're in person.
Okay.
And we're trying to hold as many as we can close to where people are.
Okay.
It's usually a morning or an afternoon session, and you'll come out of that with a certificate to say that you've done the course, and that is quite useful because quite a lot of landlords, if you've got that certificate, it sort of means something. It said, okay, I've got a tenant here who, they know how a tenancy works now, and they know what their responsibilities are and my responsibilities, and there's also the possibility of earning credits as well from Tempo, so you can get money off admission to various things.
Oh, fantastic. And does, remind me again, you said who's eligible to take part in this, these schemes?
Yeah, so it's anyone over the age of 16 who is unemployed and looking for work, or actually claiming what we call a work-related benefit.
Okay.
So income support or something like that, a job seeker's allowance. So it's open really. So basically we're looking for anyone who is unemployed and about to start a tenancy, or maybe just started a tenancy.
Okay, brilliant. And would you say, obviously it's been a tough couple of years for everyone in terms of the pandemic, and it's hit everybody hard in different ways, sort of mental health and financially. Have you noticed like a growing need for this kind of support?
Yes. Well, if I put it into context, in January, our national website had more hits than any time in its history.
Wow.
And that's just in January. The most visited pages were to do with, not surprisingly, were to do with energy costs, but also people are looking up housing and tenancy and work issues as well. So and in Cornwall, we've noticed certainly in the last month, and we're expecting it to really just keep on increasing like that. So we know there are big issues out there. People who probably didn't need support before, they were just earning enough to get by.
Yeah.
And with all the pressures that we mentioned, energy prices, we've got an increase in national insurance contributions coming up. We've had a cut in the universal credit, which are what they call a £20 uplift. So all these things added together are tipping people who are just getting by into sort of starting to get into crisis point now, really.
Yeah. And would you say, I know we've touched briefly on the energy there, do you have like a set piece of advice or anything that you could say, because the general sort of cost of living and everything's rising, so what would you say to advise somebody in that? Well,
look up our website for a start. There's lots of good practical information on there, very simple steps that you can take, like sort of blocking areas where drafts are coming into the house, putting lagging on the boiler, putting clothes out to dry instead of using the dryer. So there's lots of things like that. We've got a video with Kerno King who's done an excellent job. So it's well worth watching that on our website. Whole list of very practical things you can do. Some of them do cost a little bit of money, but in the long term, they will pay you back. There is also advice on, if you are really struggling with your energy bills, don't hesitate to get in contact with us at Citizens Advice, because we have energy specialists who can look at, they can look at what's happening in your house, but also with your money situation as well. And they might be able to, again, come to agreement with your energy company if it's, if you're in particular difficulties. So I think the main advice is don't sort of sit and worry about it. There is help available. You just need to come and seek it, really.
Brilliant. And obviously from energy to housing to general support in general, really. Is there anything else we really need to know about Citizens Advice? And I want to give you the opportunity to plug everything that you guys do, because it's fantastic work.
Well, we always say our guiding principles in Citizens Advice, and we've been doing this, bearing in mind we've been doing this for 82 years now.
Wow.
So we're pretty sure we know what we're doing. So, yeah, it's a free service. And we always say it's for everybody. You don't need to feel shy about coming in, or, it's there for everyone. We always use the example, really. We talk to people who are on the streets, who are homeless or about to be made homeless, who have nothing to their names. The next person coming in to see us might be, multi-millionaire businessman who's about to hit hard times. The business is on the rocks. What do I do next? So it's all those sort of things. And we do cover a huge range of issues. So the main ones are debt and benefits issues. Okay. But we do also cover issues to do with employment, which is, quite a big issue here in Cornwall, where wages are very low and we don't have a lot of sort of union representation. And we also cover relationship breakdowns. Now, obviously, we're not marriage guidance counsellors, but there are always issues with finances. Like, what do we do about the house, or my neighbours, not giving me access to the children? How do I get around this issue? Or, what do we do about the car and the pets and so on? Yeah. So, and sadly, we've seen a big increase in that after lockdown.
Yeah.
Housing, again, is a very big issue. So we are running various schemes with Cornwall Council to try and keep people in their homes, which might include some help with paying the rent. So we're seeking out our advice on that as well. And another big issue that we deal with a lot is consumer advice.
Right.
So it sounds like a sort of like a fuzzy area, but it's not really, because it particularly if you're on a lowish income, you can spend a lot of time and effort trying to put things right, especially if it's an obvious injustice. Yeah. And it can have an effect on people's mental health as well.
It's having someone to come to and talk to, isn't it, as well?
That's right.
A bit of advice, a bit of support. Sometimes you just need that external voice just to give you that bit of encouragement or guidance, isn't it?
That's it. Sometimes it's just knowing that you are on the right path. Life is pretty complex now. So, am I doing the right thing here? Who should I be talking to? Yes, okay, you're doing the right thing. Those are the people you need to talk to. Sometimes that's all people need. Some people need a lot more help and advice. Yeah. And, that's where our specialists work. And we do an awful lot of work with some individuals who need that help. Yeah. So, yes, it's free advice. It's confidential, which is another important thing to say. It's what you say is between you and your advisor. We give you options. We don't take the decisions for you.
Yep.
But we say, right, you might need to think about looking at this, or you might need to go down this route. And so we give people the options to improve their lives. And I just sort of, again, putting it into some sort of context, in Cornwall last year, we saw 9,000 people. So that's just one county.
Wow.
And we had, our survey showed that about 95% of people would recommend us to our services to someone else. Don't want to sound like I'm doing a sales job. But
no,
we're not a company. We're a charity.
Yeah.
We're non-judgmental. So again, there's no politics, no religion, no racial element or disabilities involved.
Yeah.
The tagline, which I always use, is "We're there for everyone." So just pick up the phone or text us or look up our details on the internet.
Perfect. And just as a reminder there, you sort of took the words out of my mouth. How can people get involved with you? The website address, just give us a chance to get people to find you, or is it just Google it?
Yeah, it's best to go on our website, citizensadvicecornwall.org.uk. Loads of advice there. Or you can text us 78866. Text is probably the best. So you text the word advice to 78866. And we'll call you back within 2 days. One of our magnificent advisors will call you back. But there are various ways of getting into contact with us depending on your needs as well, and you can find all that on the website.
On the website, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really insightful, and you guys are doing fantastic work. So, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
And again, big thanks to Wailim for taking the time to join us on Chaos TV again this afternoon. Always really interesting to hear what they're getting up to at Citizens Advice, and it's just worth paying attention to, really.